Hi, I'm Anna White, and today I'm going to be presenting on the Santa Fe Independent School District versus Doe court case. To begin with, this included the school district in Santa Fe. This happened in 1995, however, the court case was in 2000, and this school district was a predominantly Baptist town near Houston, Texas. And the topic of this case was the idea of student led prayer at public football games. So, the school district allowed students to vote on whether or not they would like to pray before athletic events. And then there was a second election to vote on who the individual would be if that was voted yes. So this did follow through, and the problem occurred when a Mormon and Catholic family, under the pseudonym of Doe, sued the school district, saying that it challenged the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. So the big question of this court case was Santa Fe School District violating the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment because they allowed students to have a public prayer before football games. And for context, the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment is that the government cannot establish a religion, meaning that the government cannot favor a certain religion or identify themselves with one religion. This is really to protect the school district. So the demographics of the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court was the highest court. So at the top of this slide, you will see the pictures of the judges, just for context. So the bottom left graph shows you that it was predominantly white males. However, there was representation. There was one African American male, and there were two females, one white, one African American. On the right side of the slide, you will see the graph of the religion and whether or not they voted that it did violate the Establishment Clause or if it did not. As you can see, there were no Baptists, and with the context of it being in a Baptist town, I found that very interesting. And I thought it was important to put in the religion aspect of it because we're talking about prayer. So you can see that there was a pretty wide view of religions on this court case. And then there was also a pretty confined age part of this court. As you can see, the ages range from 61 to 80, and the median kind of being 65. The arguments of the Santa Fe School District was that this was an act of private speech versus the idea of public speech. It was the student's responsibility to say this prayer. And they were also given certain topics to pray about and given confinements. And the Santa Fe lawyer stated that the Santa Fe policy creates a venue for student expression. The argument side of Doe was that it was not private speech because it was over the speaker at public football games, and that they said that this district was endorsing a religion. A quote by their lawyer during the case was that it, regarding Santa Fe School District, endorses religion. Its whole purpose was religion, which is a pretty strong argument. Now, the ruling did rule in favor of Doe, stating that the Santa Fe District did violate the Establishment Clause. A quote from the main judge stated that the district's policy permitting student-initiated prayer at football games does violate the Establishment Clause. So again, Stevens states that most of the students were represented, but the minority was not. So down here you can see the assenting vote. These are the people who did vote against or did vote that it did violate the Establishment Clause, and the right is the ones that said it did not. So the implication of this case is pretty prevalent in our lives today, as many public schools, if not most, do not allow public prayer. Schools will have what's called a moment of silence in the morning instead of a morning prayer. One of the big implications that the Department of Education stated was that the Supreme Court's decision set forth principles that distinguish impermissible governmental religious speech from constitutionally protected private religious speech. So, for example, officials in schools like teachers and coaches and administrators are not allowed to lead students in religious activity. They cannot encourage either, and this is to protect students from being pressured by the adults in their schools. This is my works cited, and thank you so much for listening today.